Jason played at, you're an England international. Yeah, you've played at two of the biggest clubs in the north. You didn't go south at all, did you? So Sheffield Sharks and Manchester Giants, but you didn't go like London or anywhere.
Chester. No, I didn't go to London. No.
Did you play at Chester at one point?
I played half a season at Chester.
Did you?
Yeah.
Right. When was that?
I played 98, 99. And then I moved to the Giants in December, I think.
Okay.
Of that season.
I played at Chester. That was one of my.
That was when younger. Like
I was young. Yeah, I'd just come back from the States.
I remember you at Chester. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd just come back from.
I loved playing at Chester. Yeah. So. I mean, I remember you and Tony Ollie saying we're not going to come back to. I was on a train in Birmingham with you, if you remember. We went to some event.
Right. Was it one of my mad skills things?
It was some 3-on-3 thing, Reebok thing.
Yeah.
And you were involved with Reebok then, weren't you?
Yeah.
So I remember sitting with you and Tony Ollie, and Tony Ollie said, "I'm not playing at Doncaster," and I said, "Oh," and I was brought up by Curtis at that point, and he said, "It's got nothing to do with basketball. It's got nothing to do with basketball," and it's the same thing, but playing. The one thing that Curtis did teach me is that you're gonna not like people. You're gonna have to get on with people, and I could get on with it. After playing for him, I could play for anybody.
Yeah.
Because you know what he were like, and he were worse before Calderdale. He were worse than Doncaster. He were quite relaxed at Doncaster.
Why do you say worse from a? Because you were what 17? That
not
time?
Worse, better in a way. But for every me, there probably was maybe 10, 20 people that could have been good. Ian McKinney's a good example.
Yeah.
Ian McKinney had a great career, but he didn't always fit the Curtis mould, you know what I mean? It irked him, little stuff, whereas it didn't me.
Right.
You know, so I wouldn't say I was tougher, it's just a different way of things, because when you look at what Ian's done, you know, me and Ian were similar sorts of players. And he had a phenomenal career at Sheffield. He won more things than I did in the end.
Right.
But you know, I could literally play for anybody. I could go anywhere and play for any coach. It's never about the coach, it's about you. Yeah,
so in terms of, where would you say that, before we get on to the kids, and where would you say was the team or the club that was the most important period for you as a player?
Probably everyone, really.
Yeah.
I would say everyone, because they all came with different. I'm a bit of a you probably give me this saying. I'm a creator of circumstances, not a creature of circumstances. I think it was you that told me that. So, but I'm like that. So playing for Curtis as a 15-year-old kid, playing for Calderdale, I never played at the park, and this is massive to me. I'd never played at the park. I played football, and then I bumped into him. Now I had no bad habits. I didn't know how to play, so I'd never picked up.
At 15, you started.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd never picked up playing. And started dribbling a ball with my head down, and catching it and dribbling it before I've looked up.
Right.
Or not being able to jab step. I've never played like that. Because I never grew up playing just with my mates.
So what was your earliest, because I'm interested in that, what was your earliest recollection of learning fundamentals?
I went to Northbridge Leisure Centre.
Northbridge, yeah.
Yeah, to where Calderdale played.
Yeah.
So we went on a...
Gary Johnson.
Oh yeah, Cat Johnson, yeah. Curtis, who else? Norman Findlay. Jimmy Brandon, Dave Harris.
They was a crew.
They were nice. Chicken. And Chicken still looks the same age.
Does he?
Yeah. He still
Where is he?
He's in Worthing. He's been in Worthing for years.
Yeah.
He's 51.
I might go and find him.
He's on Facebook, and he still looks younger than he did. He's got more hair than he did.
Chicken was, he wasn't a Calderdale boy though, was he?
No, he's Birmingham.
because I remember he played for Bullets, didn't he?
Yeah.
Bullets Juniors. So when I was coming through at Manchester, there was Chicken, Spencer Dunkley.
Yeah, Spencer Dunkley, wow.
Chicken, Spencer Dunkley, Tony Sims, I think was the other one. But I remember, I just came up with
Kenny Scott and
Kenny Scott.
Yeah,
but those boys were obviously a bit older than me, and I remember just hearing this name Chicken, and because I was a point guard, I was like, that guy's, he's, being from Saddleworth, all these Birmingham boys, I was like, wow, that's a crew. So when he came up here, I was like, wow. And he was a youngster, wasn't he, up here?
He was. Well, he was 21.
Right.
I think he'd finished college.
He'd finished juniors and...
Yeah, 21, 22, because if I'm 43 and he's 50, I think he's 50, Chicken, or he's round about that age.
I think he'd be probably slightly older.
Yeah. So he's, But yeah, so basketball.
So first recollection
was kids clubs in the 6-week holidays. It wasn't basketball, it was anything. But then we did some sessions on basketball with like Jimmy Brown and Curtis and all that, and we did that. And I remember just playing a 3-on-3 game in the ancillary hall. You remember the ancillary hall at Northbridge? The little wooden hall.
Okay, yeah.
So, and that's my favourite court in the world. I've played all over, but that's my favourite court. Yeah. So I remember going in there and playing and doing some drills, and I had only just started playing. And who would ever do this? But Curtis said, "Oh yeah, you can play. No, I only just started playing." But he showed me a few stuff. He showed me a few skills, and then I used to come down to the Collardale games all the time, and I used to be always practicing what he showed me. So he must have thought, this guy, really wants to play.
Yeah.
So when they folded from Collardale, the year after, that was only 2 months after I'd started playing.
Right.
He came up with the Division 3 team, if you remember.
Right.
Because you played us once, Bury. You played at Bury.
Yeah.
And you played us when it was Collardale Explorers in Division 2.
Yeah.
Which is Division 2 now, but it was Division 3 then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You guys were in a division above. We played you in the cup.
Yeah.
And you battered us by 50 without getting out of second gear.
I remember. And
that's Tony Ollie.
Yeah. And that's when Curtis was like kind of spotted me, because that was the first time he'd come across me and Tony.
Yeah, because you came to some training sessions at Northbridge.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, he's Jamie Edwards," I'd only just been playing a year or so then.
Yeah.
And that was in the ancillary hall.
Yeah.
But that was so important that I grew up playing with no bad habits and played for a coach that taught the mental side of the game.
Mm. Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
And you talk about the training your brain and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was before this time.
Yeah.
But as many as, I won't say he's the best coach I've played for, but he's the best individual coach at that time.
Skills, development,
mental toughness.
Yeah,
all that stuff that you need, and a lot about life. So I love Curtis. He's great. But then he went to Doncaster.
He got me into a lot of like Curtis was the first. He used to have his bridge. Remember, he had a brown like wallet man bag type thing from the bridge. You probably won't remember that, but that was a big impact on me. So the bridge was like a leather goods, a bit like having a Mulberry bag now,
right?
Or Louis Vuitton. That's what it was. It was like. But back then he had that, and there was a bridge shop in Halifax.
Right.
And was it Halifax? Yeah, there was
where he lived.
Yeah, there was a bridge shop in Halifax, and I was like, oh, that's nice. And it was Italian, because I loved everything about Italy, and he was, he had that influence on me as a, at the time as a young up and coming player.
But for you as an upcoming player, Curtis was the type of guy back then.
Well,
at Calderdale and Doncaster, and when you say upcoming, you were established as a young player.
Yeah.
It wasn't like me, where I was just starting to play.
Yeah.
You were established, and you was England radar and all that stuff. You was.
I was an international that year. I got my first England cap at 19.
Right. Yeah. So
I was,
for the seniors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got mine at 20. So it's good. It's good when you look back, innit? And Curtis was the type of guy, and you'll get this as. Have you got a problem? No. Well, I'll find you one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to test you.
Okay.
He would create problems that weren't even there.
Yeah.
And that was, to a lot of people, it's like, that's wrong. That. But if you're the sort of person that uses it as a positive, you're good, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that's to do with my dad and my mum and all that. You know, using out to turn things into a positive. But that was massive. Doncaster was massive because I wasn't supposed to be that good at that age. At 17 and 18.
You were 17, 18.
18 I was, sorry.
Yeah.
So at 18, Greg Monslowski was supposed to play before me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he was supposed to play. I was supposed to not even get on that team. And I got on that team. So, you know, the guys like Steve Merrifield and all that.
God, I remember. Yeah,
that were good players, really good players, but didn't like that style. So I got on that team. Unfortunately for you, you got hurt during that year. You had a hernia, didn't you?
Yeah, that's I had a hernia in January, or I'd been playing on it, and you know that was, and part of that was, you know, I was overtraining physically.
Yeah.
I was actually preparing myself for the season after, and you know, Curtis was saying you need to be stronger, you know, to be going up against those guys at the next level, and you know, so I was, and I'd overtrained because I was actually, and it's something I've learned from, I was in the future.
Yeah.
Rather than seeing the future.
Yeah. But you were the type of guy, and I learned this from you as well. You would stand and shoot 100 of the same boring shots. For 100's not that much, you know.
No.
As a basketball player.
He's laughing because.
But it's still the same shot 100 times. It may have been 200.
Yeah.
But I did it.
Yeah. He's laughing because last night in the session, I was talking to the kids about, you know, I have to give them a low number. I say, there's 5. I want you to make 5. Because their attention don't go past that. Because make 5 means they're actually shooting 15. Yeah. But to stand on the same spot and shoot 15 shots in game-like conditions is unheard of.
It is.
And my son, you know, and again we'll zig and zag with this, but my son over the past couple of years he's been playing. He's been playing, and I've said, you know, I've kept the number low. I'm like, coach, shoot 20, make 20, and he goes. So I sent him to Dougie. This week, he's been to Dougie this week for 3 days.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And the sole purpose of that was so he could experience Dougie's 300 club, where he gets them to make 300, see if they can make 300 in an hour.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
And
I spoke to Dougie a couple of days ago, actually, yeah.
And it's been great because I know he did mention, he said, it's been great because he's like, he now understands what 1 hour of shooting in 20s from different position is about. He's never experienced that, even with me, because after 15 minutes or 20 minutes, he's like, right, can we do something else? So he's just had to do it, and he's loved it. So he's laughing because I was actually telling the story that I said, you lot today, shooting 15 is a big thing, and players, unless they, you know, the kids, they've got to get that into the psyche that repetition is the mother of skill, and you're going to get bored, but that's when you know you need to do that. You couldn't have been a great shooter you are without actually having that mentality.
Me and And it's amazing how many players that are really good don't
do it.
They still don't do it.
Absolutely. When I went to high school in the States, they couldn't believe I was shooting the same shot like over and over and over again.
It's mental, isn't it? It's the mental side of the game that this is where Isley has done well.
Yeah.
Because I've taught him that, but he's only just in the past 2 years understood that. He's only just he's 19 now,
yeah.
And at 17 he started really getting it. And Chris Mellor's good for this as well,
yeah.
And he understands that. But we spoke about Elias the other day about, she doesn't really get. She's 15, and she still works really hard, but she doesn't really zone in on stuff, but he does, and that's what's one of the reasons he's kicked him over to the next level really. But
so I'm interested in, you say at 15 he didn't get there. You found it. I mean, I'd have loved to have been playing whilst my son was. He's been playing the last 2 years, 3 years. He's never seen me play.
Yeah.
In fact, the one time he saw me play, I ruptured my Achilles. So
not a good sign.
So he saw me for 15 minutes, and then that was it.
Saw you rolling around.
Yeah, he saw me rolling around. That's his one memory of me playing.
Yeah.
How important was it that Isley's seen you playing, or you've? Because in order for him to, for you to say this is how you shoot, and you've gone, you are a great shooter, and he's seen you shoot, he's seen you on the court, he's seen you drop in bombs,
and there's still clips of me, there's still a lot of stuff.
You were in an era where there was clips.
Yeah.
I'm on tape,
Yeah. But they're still there, so he has seen me. And he's seen when British basketball was big, so he's seen the crowds and me playing and stuff, and I don't know. I've never really thought that I've been extra lucky through that. I just I've tried to be quite humble about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going to listen to me because I've done this. A lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just dad.
Yeah.
End of the day, but. It does help when other people are saying to him, your dad can still go, and then he's on the same team as me, and he's trying to get those minutes that I have.
Yeah, I love that.
Because I'm playing still 30, 35 minutes in some games at age 39, 40, 41.
And he's on the bench.
And he's on the bench and he's trying to get in. And then when he does get in and he starts playing 20, 25 and we start playing together, it's a different... It's cool. It's really
that must have been special, because
it's the best rare. 3 years of me playing, Jamie.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, by far. The best 3 years of me playing, because every different... And this is why I say I love the game.
Yeah.
And I didn't receive a penny.
Yeah.
So from being 30 years old, 29, 30, I haven't received... Well, I did, but not much.
Yeah.
But I didn't
you got your bus
have any financial gain. I didn't have any financial gain for my 10 years of playing Division 1, Division 3, the National League. I had none.
Right.
And this is what I'm saying about loving the game, and Gail's always backed me, because there's have been weekends that I'm not even here, it's good, because when some people say I played with my kid, they'll play locally, or the kid will be on the bench, and they'll be on the bench because they're told it's not playing. But when he's playing 20 minutes and I'm playing 30 minutes, we depend on each other. That's a different thing. To do that with your son, and that's one of the reasons Gail said to me, who gets the chance of playing with the son at this level? It's not on Division 1, it's not like a rubbish level. At this level, so who gets the chance of doing that? And so I played 4 years at Bradford, didn't I? Did I play 4 years?
No, I think it was 3.
3. So the first year I played, he was in the juniors. So he just occasionally sat on the bench.
Yeah.
But the reason I started playing was I was going to watch him sit on the bench the season before, and I was going to the game, sitting the whole game, watching him on the bench, and then for the adults, and then the next day I'd go and play in Division 3 for somebody.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't I just play?
Yeah.
And Chris always wanted me to play, so I said, and I always wanted to play for Chris really, it just never worked out.
Yeah.
So
that's old teammate.
yeah, exactly.
Old teammate, and you're kind of bringing it back again, isn't it?
A great coach really, and I say he's great, he is a great coach who has got a group of guys on board, does things right, nobody's late.
Yeah.
You want that. If you're involved in basketball in Division 3, you're quite often involved with teams of guys that turn up, there's 7 guys and they're late, that does my head in.
Yeah.
Because I'm not like that.
Yeah.
You're the same.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get to this level in what you're doing if you were.
Yeah.
So I hated that, but I always wanted to play, so I ended up playing. And then of course you're playing with your son, like who you're both playing a lot of minutes, and that's.
So he was playing the point, and you were playing the
No,
forwards.
well, he only really was given the reins last year, wasn't he?
Right.
And I wasn't playing last year,
Right.
but he was only really given the reins, and he was. What was he? 18 then.
So in terms of his development, it really has been the past 2 years
Yeah.
that
He's gone like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like he's, he was 12, 13, 14 and he was like, boom.
In the juniors though, when he was 15, 16, him and Zion Tordov and Marty Okrosh, who was a bit younger, who's at the Euros now, he's phenomenal. Those 3 kids were always, the 30 points, they beat Manchester.
Right.
They wasn't better than Manchester, but some games they beat them and stuff. And they were always good players. When I say good, promising. No one's good at that age, are they?
Yeah.
Promising. So then when, they get to sit on a bench,
Yeah.
then they get to do that, and they get to progress up. So he was progressing,
Yeah.
but the things that took him over the edge, that made the big difference is probably within the last 2 years. Because the last season that I played 2 years ago, he was playing about 15-20 minutes a game. He probably averaged 20 minutes a game roughly.
Right.
Some games he play a lot, some games he play less, and he didn't have an identity. So I remember you at Doncaster when I walked, that was your team. You were the point guard.
Yeah.
The ball was in your hands and we go as you say, and that was your team. Now that's massive as a point guard.
Yeah.
You need that.
Yeah.
But point guards they're not produced anymore. We have these guys that can do everything. I still don't think it's the best way.
Yeah.
But he wasn't given the reins until last year. And I remember I spoke to Chris Miller about it, and he sat with his team, did Chris, and this is what he's good at. And he sat with Sulks and Jermaine and Ricky and Marcus, the American on the team, and he sat down and he said, look, what do you want to do? He said, are we going to give this kid, because he's the only guy on this team really that can see stuff that you can't, and that can handle the ball, and that can knows the flow of the game. He's going to make some mistakes, he's young, but are we going to do it? And they got him and said, this is your team now.
Yeah.
Now that's
big.
That's big. So I would say from November last season, he just went like that.
Yeah.
And he was playing 38 minutes a game from November till he finished. So this last season has been, for him, just phenomenal, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But I think, and that's answered my question in terms of the coach, Chris, who was a former teammate of mine as well, and who said, this is your team, and put the responsibility on him. But he was playing men's basketball at 17 years old. He wasn't playing under 18s basketball.
No, he was done then. He played under 16s.
And so he's been around the men, but he's also he's got the opportunity to run the show for the men. And you know, I think I'm a big believer in terms of what you say, with you need a point guard who's going to run the show, not somebody who thinks they're a point and a two guard and a you know. But that comes from watching
James Harden.
Yeah,
you know, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
because he's and that, look how better he used to know with Chris Paul.
He's a two guard, really.
Yeah,
because point guards don't fill it up like that. There's no John Stocktons or J Kids or you know, there's no traditional point guards. And
Isaiah Thomas is in.
No. So I love the fact that he's got that opportunity, but he wouldn't have had that opportunity unless, again, and I'm back to, you know, he's been schooled. One, he's had that access to his dad. Yeah. But let's take the dad role off. He's had access to somebody who's worked hard, somebody who's been educated in a way that could be passed on.
And that's why you're asking me how important is it that you were playing and you were still current.
Yes, absolutely, because he can see, you know, and this is, I'm going back 20 odd years when I was running camps. He can see you, whether you're his dad or not. He's got access to somebody who's not coming in the gym, goofing, and I'm going to say chucking up threes, but that's how you made your living. But you're working properly. You're shooting 10 free throws. You're doing it the right way every time. He's got access to that, whether you're his dad or not. He's got access to that. Like you had access to Curtis Xavier. Like you had access, like Chris had access to Curtis. I had access to Alton Bird and Cleve Lewis. And people say to me, what was the difference? I say there's lots of kids. There's lots of, this was the conversation with Jason Crump and Chris King the other day. Lots of young players in Manchester who
should have been way better than
should have been way better than me.
I'm saying,
right? But one, you go, whew, that's an opportunity. I'm learning from him. But I had access, and I say this today with the footballers that I work with, the young footballers. I've got one lad, Man City Academy, right? When Vieira was the coach of the under-21s, Patrick Vieira, right? I don't know if you remember Patrick Vieira.
Arsenal legend,
Okay, so he's the coach of the under-21s, and I'm working with an under-18s player who plays in the same position as what Patrick Vieira did. So I said,
which was he was unique.
Number
Patrick
8,
Vieira, wasn't it?
Number 8, very unique. So I said, have you ever spoke to him? No. Do you know what he did in his career? World Cup winner, European Cup winner, Premiership winner, like.
I'm one of the main players in the Premiership win Arsenal team. Not like you know, say, I mean they're all good, but like say Winterburn, who did play a massive role, but he like was the driving force.
Absolutely.
In it.
The driving force in that team, the driving force in the French team. Okay. So you've got a young player who wants to be as good as he can be, and he's got direct access to that knowledge.
Wow.
No, I've not spoken to him. Do you know how many midfielders in the world, in Europe, would just to have 5 minutes with him? And kids, young people, even adults today, they don't ask the questions. They've got access to that person. They don't use it. And I'm telling you, that's the difference. And so one of the things I always say to young athletes, say, there's the senior player. Go and speak to him. Why don't they go and speak to him? Because they've got it in the back of their mind. Mum said, teachers said, don't talk to strangers. From age of 5, it's drilled in, don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers. So even though they see them, he's still a stranger. He's still a stranger. And at the back of their mind, I'm too cool to go in. And so I wasn't too cool as a youngster. I used to get 3 buses to go and sit like this and watch Alton Bird every day, 6 weeks holidays, to watch the first team train. Because I didn't know it was called access, but believe me, I knew I was getting access that no other. And that's when he took me under his wing. So your son had access to you. Yeah. And my son, who the other day, I mean, he's hearing it now from other people.
You need that.
Listen,
that.
That's
he
what
needs that.
He needs
that, not you.
I've set up, and Gail, it's interesting because, like, people say he's going to be dead positive. He's going to be whatever. I said, are you kidding? He's going to get to 18 and go, I've heard that train brain shit all my life, and which is why I'm like, okay, Will Brown, he needs to see Will. He needs to see Dougie. He needs to come and meet Jason. I'm already way ahead of the game in terms of him having access, because I am dad, but he actually said to Dougie, this is why I know he's getting it now. After the camp, Dougie said to him, he said, listen to your dad. There's nobody better than your dad to help you. And I could see his eyes going. He actually said, not somebody else telling me that as well.
And do you know what, Jamie, they know though?
I know that.
He knows. Your son knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
And it's a good point, because I need to give him the credit that he actually is listening. So he said, not somebody else as well. And then he said back to him, he said, because I said to Dougie independently, I said, the past 18 months, I can see he's been listening. Dougie said that and he went, the past 2 years, I've been listening. And I was like, and not because he was my son, if it was any kid.
How old is he now?
He's 13.
Right, so you kind of, if I can tell you my experience.
Of course you can. That's
you're kind of worrying about nothing here. To me, you are. You if you're worried about him listening, they're not stupid. They get it. They know that, and it's not just basketball. It's you being successful too. Then in other areas, and that's in a way more important than me being successful in basketball. There's other things that you've done as well that put you on, elite performance level in other areas. So they're not stupid, and the amount of times that, and I remember I'm a Curtis mindset. So the amount of times that I've wanted to say to him, I'm not doing this with you anymore. You know what I mean? Do you know? Yeah, I'm working out with him, and he's just not listening. And I'm like, I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm out. And I have said that to him at times, haven't I? But it's never been about basketball. It's been to do with his attitude.
Yep.
And I've said, if you're gonna do this, I'm out. I'm not doing this. You've got to still do that. But the more you can keep it in perspective, and I'm telling you, he sounds like he's in a good position. Because one, you're able to take him to these things, and if he's positive about it, and he's saying, yeah, I want to go, I want to learn, I want to do this, it's good, but it is important. Like, it would be great for him to come over, and you can bring him anytime you want when Isley's here. So in the summer, it would be great for us four to work out.
He's actually following Isley on because I told him about Jason and Isley, and so then he started following him, and then he'd say to me, he said, "Oh, Isley's I think he sent him a message or something," and I was like, "Oh, right." And
did he get back to him?
Yeah, I think I
good.
He normally does.
Yeah, he did do, and now, in hindsight, I should have brought him over before he'd gone, but
He's 13, Jamie.
Yeah.
There'll be time.
So he knows all about Isley, and you're right. I'm not, in one way, it's like I'm saying, I'm not worried, because I'll look at him now and I'm go, he's going to be all right. Like school, I remember asking you about his schooling. How was Isley at school? You know.
Yeah. Well,
I would have been more concerned initially about his schooling than his basketball, because he's on report, right? He's been on report. And he said, "Dad," and it's low level disruption, yeah. So think of, let's say, what I'm like, right? And he goes, "Dad, you told me to ask a lot of questions." And I said, and I told the teacher that my dad told me to ask a lot of questions. And I was like, I said, "Kobe, in the right place, at the right, the teacher wants you." He said, "Yeah, but you told me to ask a lot of questions." Now, Dougie said the other day, he asks a lot of questions, doesn't he? He's not quite sure, is it? I said, "It's not that he's not quite sure of himself." I said, "It's because he wants to learn." And then someone said to me, "Jamie, he'll be okay. You know, he will be okay. Report stuff." And I was just relaxed about it.
That's what we were like with Isley, just the same.
You know what he said to me?
Oh, yeah.
You know what he said to me about he said to me, I said, "So, what are you going to do to make this, like, whatever they call it, better?" And he said, "Well, I can go in tomorrow and I can, you know, be better." And I said, "But what about the one that you've done?" He said, "Dad, it's in the past. Can't do anything about it." And I'm in my head going, I can't believe he's just used my shit on me.
yeah. Jedi mind tricks.
Honestly, girl. And that's when I'm like, he'll be more than okay.
Yeah.
I just need to relax and...
But what's important now at your age is the subtle reminders to him. Not I'm taking you over there because, you know, I know you'll do things right, but to just say, "Oh yeah, I was at my mate's Jason, blah blah," and yeah, it was what I was watching some stuff of Isley. It's really good, and he'll be like, "I've got Isley on Instagram, blah blah," and said, "Well, listen, you know, we'll go over in summer. You know, we can go over and we can work out together," and because then he'll see Isley's attitude with me, because now he's on. He's if I'm saying do that, he's like, "Yeah, got you,
Yeah.
you know, and he's like that. He wasn't when he was younger.
Yeah.
You know, he was thinking, "Well, I could do it that way," you know, but they know they're not stupid, Jamie. They're not.
He said to me once. He said when he first started.
And if you've got, and I will say, you know, Isley, Jamie was a point guard. You know, Jamie can do some stuff with him. Now, for your son to see that gives you. I know it's a.
It
gives you kudos.
Yeah.
You know, more kudos on the court.
One of the things, because I was presenting at a level 3 course, and Graham wants me to do it, so I'm doing my level 3 basketball, right? And Graham said to me, he said, there was these bunch of coaches, and they all said to me, "Would you still be coaching if your son wasn't playing?" I said, "I would actually have come back to it, and I said, you got to remember, I used to coach a lot of kids. So I said to Kobe, I said, Kobe, I am doing this because I want to be your coach. I said, I would love to give you to somebody else, but there's nobody else in the area that's going to coach you as a guard better than I am. That's why. But I said, I'm also going to coach that kid there the same things. So when he sees me, he's seeing me coach other people, and he said to me once, why are you teaching them that? I said, I'm teaching them that. I've been trying to teach you that for the past however long, and they're listening. And he's like, I can't have my dad teaching somebody else all of that same stuff that he's been trying to teach me. So he's getting it.
He'll get it.
What's your advice to a parent who's got talented kids?
Well, like there's a difference in saying, like you just said, I'd like for my kid to be what I know he can be. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because that's your life then, that's not theirs, you know. And like for Isley and Elias, the earlier they know, and I've told you this, that no one actually really cares that much about them. So the only person that will truly care about your son is you. All 100% in, wholeheartedly love him. Now, so there's going to be people that let him down. There's going to be people that don't do it for him. And as parents, your job is to help him deal with all those things. Not to pave the way, to help him deal with it. Okay, you need to help him put him in right situations and get the right club and all that stuff. But let's say that the coach says, oh, I don't like him, and it's totally unfair, and we know it's unfair. You can't side with your son. You've got to say, well, that's how it is, you know, and that coach is probably right. And to a certain age, I would always go with the coach against Isley, no matter what. And he was cut from teams, and it was ridiculous. Are you joking? I know the game, you know, that's ridiculous. However, I'm going to back you. I'm not going to back him, because his job is to be able to deal with that, and mine as a parent is to help him deal with it. Not to go, that ain't fair.
Yes.
Not to say, well, he's better than him. Not to do that, because then you get into, you know, oh well, you know, life is not fair and there's a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
But when they get to a certain age, when Isaac gets to like 17, 18, he knows what's right or wrong. So then, like, all I do with Isley now is I'm just supporting him.
Yeah.
He's just coming to me and saying, Dad, what you think, and that's it really.
It's really interesting that you're saying I'm backing the coach, even though you know at some level the coach isn't not where he's right or wrong, but the coach is making the decision based on the coach's strategy, philosophy, and many parents don't do that because they want to protect.
Yeah.
And they want to catch.
And they want to say he's doing great.
Yeah.
You know, like there's times where Isley just didn't understand things, and there's a lot of things he doesn't get.
Is that okay for them not to understand it? But
it's difficult because when you it's your own personal circumstances, isn't it? Like you've come from, I mean, where did you grow up? Saddleworth or Delph?
yeah.
Right.
From like 10 onwards, so I grew up there. Yeah.
So you grew up in Delph playing basketball, and you came out of that and played at a very good level.
For those who don't know, Delph
is in the middle of nowhere. yeah, I've been through.
And at the time, you know, the only black kid in the area. Yeah.
So you do that. I'm from Halifax. You know, I've been all over the world playing basketball. So you relate that to, well, why can't it be you? You know, why can't it be you, Isley? Why can't it be you, Kobe? And you relate that to them. And I think you do that naturally. However, I've been I'm quite happy with how I've done in basketball, so I'm quite happy with what I got to. However, I'm not a better coach than the guy that's coaching, and you sometimes have to say, well, he knows more than me. And whether it's a coach or whether it's someone who knows a lot more about life than you, who's more experienced, you have to let them. And as parents, how many parents do you talking? Well, I wouldn't have done that. Well, what's your background then?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't. Why has he done? Well, do you actually understand what you're talking about? Because the coach out there knows more than you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's all right that someone knows more than you.
But as a dad and as a mum, I'm guessing because of the circumstances, what you've done is you've trusted people with the process.
Yeah.
You've trusted coaches, and in some elements, you're both in education, which is great. So you come up against it with other parents, where you've got to say, trust us and trust the process. So it would actually be hypocritical of both of you, to not trust the process or the system, even if you didn't agree with the system, as in the coach. Even if you didn't agree with them, to not trust that process would be very...
Can I give you a really, really good example?
Yeah, no, that's
where this probably comes from with me. I remember playing for Curtis in Halifax at 15, 16 years old. And Curtis bawling me out, and really bawling me out. Like,
as we know he can.
Yeah, and borderline bullying, well, it was bullying really. Bawling me out, and he did it for the right reasons, but and in my face. I remember looking at the door, my dad was looking through the glass. Now, how many parents would have gone, what are you doing with my son?
Yeah.
And my dad just smiled, and he went like that to me, and he walked off. Now that's an example of my dad, the great man he is, knowing that guy knows what he's doing. That guy knows what he's doing with my son, and so that's where it comes from with me. I was never bailed out.
Yeah.
And as parents, we bail as kids out a lot.
Because instinctively, parents want to do one of two things. This is the way, I know.
Yeah, I know best.
And when your dad said he knew best, and your dad and my parents, you listened, because we came from generations, our parents came from generations, when mum, dad said, do it this way, you did it that way. If they said jump, you jumped. If Curtis said jump, you jumped. You didn't ask how high.
No.
There's a generation, but there's a generation today, and even below us, between us, that parents think when they say do it this way because that's what we got, or they want to be there for them. Today, that's not the case. The kids today, not just sporting kids, you have to walk by the side of them and guide. But we go, yeah, but we didn't do it like that when mum said, and this is what I'm saying to parents all the time now. Why do you think that they should be like you? We're talking about a generation who don't understand what it was like to get out of the seat and turn the TV over. Or a generation that's always thought Michael Jackson was white. Why would they think like us? And that's the biggest challenge, Jay, for parents today. It's the biggest challenge for me, even outside of sports, especially to go, well, why should he think like me? He's completely different era.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that, you're saying, and you know, I was around your dad a lot.
Yeah.
And there was a generation of parents that all used to come and watch, but I don't remember ever them going, well, I know better than the coach.
Yeah, there weren't many parents said that, were there?
No.
When you look at like when I played football as a kid.
They never.
I never.
They never knew.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's again a generational thing that today the parents say.
That's true. That's interesting.
And parents today say, you know, everybody's a football expert, everybody's a basketball expert, and you know, I reflect and I think, you know, my parents just used to come to the games and watch. And even if they didn't come to the games, you know, it was never, oh, you should have done this. Did you play it? You know, how did it was? You know, did you enjoy it today? What was, you know, it was that. Yeah. Or they listened attentively to how I was. And today it's not like that, and I think that's just a sign of the times. That's not just a basketball thing or a football thing.
Yeah.
You've played for some very good coaches. Yeah.
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse, who's now NBA coach. Toronto.
Yeah.
He's gone from Manchester Giants to wherever to the NBA.
Yeah.
Jim Brandon at Sheffield. We're not talking about who's the best coach. But you've played Laszlo, England coach, Mike Burton, again he'll be up there in terms of British coaches.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
Yeah, good coach. Whether the relationships are there or not,
good coach.
Good coach.
Yeah,
no taking that away. Curtis started you off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've played for some very good coaches. So, but Curtis coached you in a way. He was your mentor. Alton was my mentor. He didn't coach me in a team, but he was my mentor. And I remember Alton saying to me, he called me glue shoes. He kept calling me glue shoes, and it started to affect me. I was like. He said, "You're the slowest black point guard I've ever met in my life." And I said to his wife, and he didn't say it nastily.
It was a thing he could say then, as well.
Yes.
In that generation, without thinking you were offending anyone.
Okay, that was, you know, we're talking 30 odd years ago. And I said to his wife, I said, why does he keep calling me the slowest black point guard he's ever met in his life? I remember, again, being from Delft, you know, there was no black, so, you know, it's like, slowest black point guard. She said, just do the opposite. So if he's saying you're slow, then you need to get fast. And I was like, right, okay. What do you think of coaches who are really pushing that boundary? They're right on the edge of, and we could call it on the edge of being a bully. How was it for you as a player? Because Curtis was very hard on people.
Yeah, for me, it was as tough as it was, probably tougher because we were younger, and it was tougher in some ways. Because for every one of me, there was certain guys that couldn't handle a situation. Mm-hmm. Eddie Saunders was one from Manchester.
Yeah, played with.
Yeah, who was a phenomenal talent.
Oh,
phenomenal talent. He's like a Magic Johnson type player.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal, and it broke him. He couldn't do it. So there was certain guys that just, I wouldn't even say, I'm not even going to say they couldn't handle it, because that's the wrong way of looking at it. It wasn't suited to them, and that's what
wasn't suited to
the
them?
style. So the direct shouting, the direct, you know, not I won't say certain times he pointing out to the point of humiliation really within your group. Mm-hmm. But the reason that I was okay with it was because my dad always helped me deal with it.
Right.
So he always helped me deal with it. My mum always, would speak to Curtis. My mum and dad would always help. I didn't know this at the time, I didn't appreciate it, but they would always help me deal with things as a person. And I actually always knew, and this is Curtis's saving grace with most young players, he would spend hours with me in a gym on his own for no personal gain.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that this is a guy that cares.
Mm-hmm.
Now my mum and dad's job was to tell me why he kind of didn't show it that way, but he did. Do you understand what I mean?
I absolutely understand, and I want this in terms of for the benefit of somebody else learning from this. Now we're talking 30 odd years ago.
Yeah.
Could that style of coaching be accepted today?
I don't think it'll be accepted. However, I have seen Curtis change too over the years.
So he's evolved.
So he's evolved, like we all have,
Mhm.
and his style is different now
Right.
than it was. So I guess it was the time.
He was a young coach
a bit like
as well.
Brian Clough. It was the time that you were in, and yes, you can't and you wouldn't want to coach in that certain style.
Mm.
And I just think, for me, yes, it would still work now for me.
Mm.
For me now, playing basketball, it would still work because of the approach I've had growing up and the accountability I've always had to have. But for a lot, it isn't the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it won't be acceptable, and it shouldn't be acceptable, really. No,
Yeah.
it shouldn't. You should have know how to empower people. You should know how to manage people, and at the top level, come on, we're not talking about skill development. We're talking about, like your Liverpool, your Man United managers, your Man City managers. I don't know this firsthand because I'm not that experienced, but from interviews and what we're talking about, managing people.
It's
We're
all
talking
people.
about getting people on side. We're talking about building teams. We're talking about knowing families. We're talking about all sorts.
Mm.
We're talking about setting a good example. I would imagine that is much more than, even tactics. I would imagine, because at the end of the day, the players on the field make it work. The players on the court make it work. And I mean, there's no better thing in golf. You're on your own. Mentally, you're on your own. You have to be taught how to deal with things on your own.
Mm.
Whereas you don't have sport, you can be bailed out by a few others, can't you?
Yeah.
You can't in tennis and golf.
Yeah.
There's a different mindset totally. So yeah, so that's how I see it. I don't think it'd work now.
But for the record, you said I could deal with that. Other players couldn't deal with that. And
that's not a knock on
them,
how
no,
tough you are.
no.
That's not an indication of that.
Yeah.
McKinney is a good example.
Yeah.
McKinney played for Curtis a couple of years and then moved on because he wanted to play somewhere else. Now he was as, or if not more successful than I was in terms of winning things.
Mm.
So you can't say it's not toughness, because that's nothing to do with it.
But in the context of it, everybody absorbs that in different ways. Yeah. And no, it's interesting because you said the point before that he didn't help me. I believe that Curtis had my best interests at heart. That he wanted me to be the best point guard I could be. I was running his show.
Yeah.
And there were lots of things. Yes, I had probably two of the best mentors, especially with Alton, in the game. Alton was.
Yeah.
There's always different eras, but Alton was the best mentor I could ever have. But I learned so much from Curtis, and I think that was, you know, he had such an impact on, you know, defensively, toughness, and yet I felt it, you know, looking back, it was just on the other side of where it needed to be, but, and I remember Tony Holly, you know, you played with as well, and I remember Tony going, J-Dog, no, that's not right, and he and that coach knew that sometimes he was being that on me, but he was talking to somebody else.
Yeah, it was, and one of the stories about, you know, Curtis being very, very demanding of his players. It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
And holding them account to a very high standard before they probably were even
ready
near that.
And before they were ready for it.
And one of the things that I will say is that I've played for other coaches, and I've played for other coaches that would want you to perform for them. Now, there's a difference.
Yes.
And I remember my first year at Sheffield, I didn't play hardly at all. I'm talking probably average 4 minutes a game or something like that, my first season. You know, a lot of DNPs, and so a lot of stuff like that. And after that first season, I was leaving Ponds Forge in tears because I believe my coach didn't give me a chance. The coach at the time, you know, was an ex-Collardale guy that, you know, I grew up, and he was more motivational than dealing with people. He motivated well, so he got a lot out of the team, and the first year was phenomenal. But I left Ponds Forge Arena in tears in the lift because I'd yet again not been able to play. I'd come in, I'd missed a shot, I'd sit down, that were it. And I was 20 seconds of play. And Curtis met me at the bottom of the lift by accident. He was at the game, and he said to me, you know, first of all, you know, you've got to understand, and I said this to you earlier, that no one really cares about you apart from your parents. You're playing professional basketball now. So no one's gonna worry about you. Your professional football managers will be the same. They're not worried. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo, are you telling me that the manager, okay, he might care about him more than any other manager, but you're telling him that he's gonna, when he's finished playing, thinking, you know, oh, did I handle that well with Cristiano? Did I? He's the heck. He's not bothered. They're not bothered. The parents are bothered. The people that love you are bothered. But that's it. And he taught me that. But not only did he do that, he spent that summer working out once a week in Halifax when he lived in wherever he lived, Doncaster or Nottingham then, wherever it was, and he'd drive all the way to work out with me for an hour, and I wasn't even playing for him. And the guy that I was playing for wouldn't give me 5 minutes over the summer. So I learned that you know, certain people don't care, and you've got to make things work yourself. And that was Curtis's amazing side. He would do things like that, and whenever he pushed me, it was for a reason.
Yeah.
It was for a reason. Did he get it right? No, because he's probably evolving as well.
Yeah.
So he got a lot of things, when looking back now, I would say were wrong. But
I think you know what I'd love to do, and I hope, because when I was with Dougie this week, he told him I was coming down, and he said getting him out of Nottingham's hard. But I'd love to sit down with him and really go, come on, what, you know, you as a coach then, you as a coach now, what's...
Yeah, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the under-20s now, they just went, in the first 3 games, they went something like 4 for 50 from three. They were, I worked it out, it was something like 7% they were shooting from 3. I mean, why is it? Why is it that we don't have guys that can do that?
Well, see, you're saying it's not the coach's fault.
No, the coach that's taken the team.
Oh, right, yeah.
So
it's not the coach that takes the team, it's the coach who started the kid off.
So we can look at the national team coach, we can look at, say, Mark Stoutel, who, I love him, I think he's great. You know, Isley was down to 14, he didn't make the 12, but 100%, as with and this hasn't been with previous coaches, the 100%, I believe he did it exactly how he wanted it. I didn't think he looked at any political agenda. I just think he did it, and I respect him for that. And I was 100% behind the under-20s. I want him to win, but it's not his fault that kids couldn't make shots. You know, in putting that seat, why can't, you know, why is there no, you know, there wasn't a kind of point guard. We could say, oh, he should have picked him, he should have picked him, he should have picked it, but come on, he had a good team, you know, and they just, but we can't shoot the ball. Why?
Fundamentals.
Yeah.
Basics, and
Being able to
that's,
stand there and shoot 100 in a row. I'm telling
do
you.
do you not think those guys could do that?
I don't know, but you know, it's not. Let's not complicate things. If you shoot 100 at a time in game speed, 10 at a time, 10 at a time, 10 at a time, totally locked in game speed, and you do that 3 or 4 times a day, you look at Matty Okros. Matty Okros, he's just nailing them, like the guy I was talking about earlier. He's just nailing them.
Oh, the kid who played with Isley.
Yeah, who played with Isley when they were younger.
Yeah.
You know, and I know he's spent countless hours doing that.
Mm.
It's not.
It's not rocket science.
But we got coaches who do not understand, and there's a lot of coaches. Like I would say, a lot of assistant coaches, even at the England level, you know, and Isaac came up against a coach last year in the ABL who, you know, this guy's talking trash to the kids as they're on court, and you know, and he's one of the England assistants. He's talking trash. He's saying, you know, these guys, you know, you'll never be any better at doing this. You'll never, and your team's losing, and you know you got to keep in perspective. You know, if you do well, that's great. If you don't do well, it's not. You know, it doesn't matter. But be a good person. You know, don't be an idiot really.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people involved. So it's good that you're not only basketball. You've come from a totally mental preparation background now that puts you in better stead. So dealing with those, that's good, as opposed to kind of someone who's been able to open the gym and then say, come on, I've got 10, right, okay, I could make a team, right, I could do this. And you know, I'm not a coach, so I'm not a sort of person that could step into that role and say, right, I know exactly what I'm doing. There's a lot that think they can. And you know, and Isley played that game last year in the ABL. He's in the ABL, and Isley's 18 years old, and all you're doing is talking trash. Right. Saying, oh yeah, he's pushing, or he's doing this for the full game. That's your, come on.
Coach.
Yeah, we got to have better than that.
Yeah.
We've got to have better than that. And then when the kid does do well, you're one of the England coaches. You should be for them. You should be saying, you know, no matter where they're from.
So you're gonna come and are you gonna do a little slot or guest slot for me when?
Yeah, of course I will. See, I'll do that. I said to Chris Mellor at Bradford, I said I don't mind coming helping with the guards and stuff, you know, and doing some stuff with them and speaking to them. I said I don't mind doing that. What I don't want to do is to, like you've done. I mean, yeah, okay. Well, you're now running this club. Yeah, I don't want to do that, but I will. Yeah, I'll come, and also with your son as well when Isley gets back next summer. Because if you can get the court, I'll say to Isley, listen, you know.
Yeah, and listen, we're only, you know, we're 20 minutes over the hill, and I'll get a court.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully by next summer I'll have the influence to be having the keys to some courts.